Hey there, let's go for a walk and see what we can see. Goldenrod is beginning to show some age. Popcorn trees are taking on some color. People cuss the old popcorn tree, Chinese tallow. Even though it's not native here, it's about one of the only deciduous trees that develops any color in the fall of the year. That's so thick, you'd have to cut your way through it. It's almost like a jungle. But what I wanted to point out was there's something crosses here, small critter. It's got a nice little pathway worn from one side of the woods road to the other. And both sides of this would be an ideal spot to set some type of trap. Wildflowers they really make it pretty this time of year. These are the woods that I grew up in. I can't tell you how many days and weeks, if you put it all together, all the time that I spent back here as a kid growing up. Many, many, many full days and piled together a lot of weeks of adventure. I'm slowly working my way back into our outdoor classroom. We've had some really, really good times there with the guys. I wanted to just focus in on that live oak tree. It's funny. Now that I think about it, I remember when that tree was just a little stick growing in a fence row. That was a good long time ago. And back then, cattle roamed around in here. And it was like walking through a park. Now you have to cut trails to pick your way through it. At first I was a little sad about that. But then I got to thinking, this is what nature does. If you leave it alone, nature will reclaim itself. I take a lot of comfort in that. Let's talk about blazing. Blazes and blazing. If I'm blazing my way into an area, a single blaze marks my way in. On the opposite side of the tree, coming out, I would put two blazes. One, to signify going in. Two, to back trail. And another thing regarding this particular blaze, back in the fall, I think it was, maybe spring, I can't remember. But it hasn't been that long ago that I freshened this blaze up. I came back and I reblazed it. And in just a few months' time, it's darkened. The bark is trying to cover the wound that I made. It doesn't hurt the tree. Now, this particular trail into the classroom, going in, you've got your single blaze, and if you want to find your way from here, you always look for direction signs. Here's a single blaze on the left side of the tree, indicating turn left here at this tree. If it were on the opposing side, it would be a right turn. I think that's one of the one of the most simple things that anybody can do, especially if they're hunting or exploring an area that they're not familiar with. Knock some blazes on a tree, on trees, where you have easily visible from the next, one blaze to the next, and it'll really help you keep from getting turned around in the woods, and it might keep you from getting turned around in the woods at a time of the day when you really don't want to get turned around, and you might end up having to spend the night hunkered down under a tree somewhere. I left these stashed back here thinking, I may need a drink of water. And I'd always have some back here. But before I left my truck, I debated, do I take my canteen or not? I said, no, I've got water back here. And then I second thought it. I said, no, I'm going to go ahead and take my canteen. I put my well belt on in the canteen and walk back here. And these two bleach jugs that were full of water, I found them a good 50 feet, maybe 75 feet away from where I had them sitting by a tree. And I thought, now that's strange. Back in the spring, it was apparently a raccoon would come along and tump them over. And they've been sitting back here all summer, and I think, judging by the teeth marks on here, I think old Rocky Raccoon played the bandit and got him a drink of water, not out of one jug, but he chewed on the other one and let the water out of it. Yeah, I'm glad I brought my canteen because it's hot out here. I'm not sure what this grass is properly named. We always called it sage grass. I don't think it has anything to do with sage. Broom sage, maybe. But you can harvest this and make bundles out of it. Make a broom out of it if you wanted to. You could probably, if you worked hard enough, you could get enough of it to bundle together and make bundles of thatch to thatch a roof with in one of those could be situations. This little stand, the goldenrod, and this other autumn bloomer, I have no idea what the name of that is, but I know it by its characteristics. It has a pleasant smell. I suppose unless you're allergic to it and it makes you sneeze. But after the frost hits it and kills it, this is one of my favorite winter tenders to use with a ferro rod. Collect a nice little wad of these, and maybe some of the stems and the heads from the goldenrod. Bundle that together, not too tight, leave it a little loose, hit it with a spark, and it just goes right now. Once it's dried, it's not only got the fluff that catches that spark, but you've got something like woody material. Yeah, you've got the stems and such, and that gives it a little more than just a flash. Let me take a minute to do something here. Talk about a couple things I'm not interested in personally doing on my channel. One of them is I'm not interested in getting caught up in doing reviews of this, that, and the other knife or pot or any other item. I'm not opposed to other people doing that, but folks, that's just not my thing. You know, I'm just not going to, I'm not interested in that. I don't care what kind of knife you carry. I don't care what kind of pot you cook in. Personally, pardon me, but a lot of it, from my perspective, is like listening to a bunch of jocks in the locker room or in the shower, talking about who's got what. And I'm not interested in participating in all the debates about which is better and which is not, and all of that kind of stuff. Nor am I particularly interested in doing how-to videos. How to build a fire, how to do this, how to do that, how to whittle a stick and turn it into a feather stick, and on 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 till the cows come home. I'm not opposed to other people doing that. There's a lot of good videos on YouTube pertaining to all of the aforesaid, and if that's your thing, go right ahead and do it. I'm more interested in cataloging, chronicling my woods life, the woodsy side, and the getting out in the woods and doing the things that I love to do, things that I grew up as a kid doing, and I got pocket robbed of it during life because life does that to people. And at this point in my life, it's important for me to do what I do because it's a part of who I am. It always has been, and society did its best to make me into something that I'm not. And I'm very thankful that I managed to come to my senses and get back to my roots, doing the things that I love to do, and to reconnect with nature and explore the woods. And those are the things that I'm more interested in sharing here on this channel. And I want to say thank you to everybody that's been watching these little videos that I put together. And thank thank you for subscribing. And you know, it's a lot of fun. It's a real pleasure to be able to do these things. And hopefully, uh, hopefully somewhere along the way, somebody will be inspired to get off the couch, unplug the TV, and get out and take a walk in the woods.